Hello everybody, Miss Donald here for the next instalment of Thing by David Williams and illustrated by Tony Ross. Once again, thank you to HarperCollins for allowing us to share this story together. Part 2, The Monsterpedia. Chapter 8, An Encyclopedia of Monsters. Mr. and Mrs. Meek set the book down on a rickety old table. Thud! The Monsterpedia was a huge leather-bound tome that must have been printed at least a few hundred years ago. It was, as the title suggested, an encyclopedia of monsters. Mrs. Meek blew dust off the cover and opened it. Might this book hold a clue to the existence of a thing? It was the Meeks' final hope. The book was, as far as anyone knew, the only one of its kind in existence. Inside it was an alphabetical list of terrifying creatures that were either long extinct or assumed to be mythical, with lavish, hand-painted illustrations of these creatures on the opposite page. Neither Mr. nor Mrs. Meek had seen or heard of any of them before. First, there was an agadong-dong, a man-eating underground bird. On the next page was a boo-boo, a giant slug that leaves a poisonous trail of slime in its make. Then there was the crunkle toad, a reptile so ugly it can kill a man with a look. D was for Dum-Dum, a cross between a jellyfish and a warthog, and judging by the illustration, even more hideous than it sounds. E. Binky Bonk, an amphibious monkey found only in the deepest depths of the oceans. The next page was F. The Meeks took a collective breath, praying that they would find what they were looking for. Thing! Exclaimed Mother. Yes, we did it! Oh, I could kiss you, said Father. Please don't. Not at work, darling, and the library has a strict no canoodling rule. Oh, of course, how silly of me. Would you care to read out what it says? Mrs. Meek cleared her throat and began. Thing, mammal. This, the most rarest of rare beasts, is found only in the deepest, darkest, jungliest jungle. The appearance of the thing is that of a fur-covered sphere. The size of the beast varies wildly. One moment they can be as small as a marble, the next as large as a hot air balloon. Things have one large eye in the centre and a hole on either side. One hole is a mouth. The other is its, for want of a more polite expression, bottom. But nobody can be sure which hole is which, not even the thing itself, which has been known to try to feed using its bottom. Having no arms or legs, things move around by rolling, or sometimes even bouncing. Strangely enough, a thing's favourite food is biscuits of the custard cream variety. The thing beasts can devour 100 in seconds, but they will eat almost anything and everything. Things leave behind a trail of foul-smelling droppings, which can be as big, if not bigger, than the creature itself. Warning! Never, ever keep a thing in your house. They are the world's worst pets. Things are greedy, bad-tempered, and sometimes just plain rude. Because they can grow to epic proportions, they may not just eat you out of house and home, they may very well eat your home. Worst of all, they might even eat you. Doom awaits you. Going as a picture of the thing. Starting to think this is really not a good idea at all. After she had finished reading, they both pored over the picture. The thing was a peculiar-looking thing. The illustration, just as the words had described, showed a ball of brown fur with one eye between two dark holes. "Oh dear," said father. "Oh dear, indeed," agreed mother. With that she closed the book. "Well, that's the end of that then. There is no way our darling daughter can have a thing." "Oh, poor thing, she's going to be so bitterly disappointed," said father. "I know. Well, I think it best you break the bad news to her." "Me?" "Yes, Mr. Meek, it's your turn." No, protested Mr. Meek. "It is definitely your turn." "Let's do it together," reasoned Mrs. Meek. "A splendid idea." "Thank you." "You can go first." Oh, how do we think Myrtle's going to take the news? Chapter 9. Rolled in Rabbit Droppings. So, with heavy hearts, Mr. and Mrs. Meek picked up their daughter from school. Once again, I mean picked up, literally. They picked Myrtle up and carried her all the way home before depositing her as gently as they possibly could on the sofa. Thump. Here she is. Mr. and Mrs. Meek were trying to hide the worry they were feeling at breaking the bad news to their daughter, but it was daubed all over their faces. "Perhaps you might like to play a game, Myrtle, my love," suggested father, "or do a jigsaw, or watch the television. Distraction, distraction, distraction." "Cartoons!" demanded Myrtle. "Here's the remote," said mother, handing her daughter the chocolate-stained black gadget. Myrtle scowled back at her. "You press the button for me, you lazy old moo." Mrs. Meek did what she was told, and a cartoon flickered on the television screen. Myrtle liked the violent ones best, where animals ran into walls, fell off cliffs, or simply exploded. Her favourite cartoon series were Pigs in Peril, Thumperoo, the Thumping Kangaroo, Ants in Your Pants, Amobazilla, Tales of the Giant Amoeba, Hippopotamus Snot, Grunter the Gorilla, Monkey Wee, Monkey Do, and Crush the Cockroach. With their daughter momentarily distracted by the sight of a cartoon rabbit being flattened by a steamroller, Mr. Meek nodded to his wife. This was her cue. She scurried off to the kitchen. They had a secret plan. The pair hoped that if they gave their daughter the biggest slab of chocolate cake in history, this would soften the blow of her not getting a thing. The cartoon finished, and as the theme music played, Myrtle remembered what she had forgotten. "Where's my thing?" she shouted. "Cake, cake, cake!" yelped father. "Coming right up, father," replied Mrs. Meek, staggering into the living room carrying a stupendous slab of cake. It was the size of a small garden shed. "There you go, Myrtle, my angel," she said as she set it down on the coffee table. Thud. "Haven't you got a bigger slice?" demanded the girl. "Sadly not," replied mother. It's bigger than the cake it came from." This, of course, couldn't strictly be true, but it fooled Myrtle. It looks like delicious cake, my beautiful bunnykins. Do tuck in," prompted father. Not being a regular user of cutlery, Myrtle simply leaned forward and buried her face in the cake. It was how a hog might enjoy its dinner. Grubble, grubble, grubble. Mother and father sighed with relief. That feeling was sadly not to last. In no time at all, the girl had polished off the giant slab of cake. She lifted her head, her face now covered in chocolate icing. "I want my thing," she repeated, spraying her parents with chocolate cake crumbs as she spoke. Mr. and Mrs. Meek were covered from head to toe. It looked as if they had been rolled in rabbit droppings. "Ah, yes, of course, the famous thing," began father before losing his nerve. "I will let your mother take over from here." Mrs. Meek shot a look at Mr. Meek, most displeased. He was even meeker than she was. Well, my sweet princess, she began, your father and I found this book deep in the vaults of the library. Listen, growled the girl. I want my thing and I want it now. Things were going from bad to worse. The cake hadn't helped at all. If anything, it had given Myrtle a sugar rush that made her even more foul-tempered than usual. You see, the lady spluttered. Father, you can take over from here. He began, a look of terror now in his eyes. Spit it out, bawled the girl. My cherub, we searched and searched every book in the library to find out what a thing is. A thing is a thing, duh, mocked Myrtle. Quite. We found only one reference to it in the whole of the library, in this dusty old book that we discovered down in the secret underground vaults. Here, Father nodded to Mother, who lumbered over with the ancient tome. It's called The Monsterpedia, said Mrs. Meek. Have a look. It's fascinating reading. Mother went to pass the book to her daughter, but the book actually pushed back. I hate books. They make my brain hurt, Myrtle exclaimed, batting the Monsterpedia away with her hand. Thump! The book slapped her back. Thwack! Ouch! Screamed the girl. Get that thing away from me! Mother took hold of the book. Let me help you, Sugar Plum Fairy. Mother flicked through the dusty old book and opened it right at the right page. This, my rainbow child, is a thing. Have a read. You read it, ordered Myrtle. Mrs. Meek proceeded to read aloud from the book, placing particular emphasis on this particular part. Warning, never ever keep a thing in your house. They are the world's worst pets. So, my dove of love, prompted Mother. What do you think? Surely you don't want a thing now. The pair looked longingly at their daughter, their hands glued together in prayer. And we'll have to wait till next time to find out what Myrtle's response was. She does get worse as the story goes on, it seems, though, doesn't it? I think she needs to be grateful for two very loving parents. So we'll see what happens next time. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.